What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. My name is Jonathan, and you already know what time it is. Today, we're going to be looking at the basics of taking an object out of its background on Photoshop, which with enough practice, you'll be able to make really cool effects like this, and this extremely beautiful photo of me hanging out with the Beastie Boys. This past week, I was on my good friend's podcast, Couch Potatoes, where they mentioned that not everybody might be in a place to be paying a monthly subscription to Adobe. So from here on out, I'm going to be listing different alternatives to Adobe softwares, depending on what software I'm using in my video, because you shouldn't keep a monopolizing subscription-based model from making great. In today's tutorial, we're mainly going to be looking at the different selection tools on Photoshop as well as clipping masks. So this is for anybody who's just getting started on Photoshop or anybody who wants more experience in those areas. And with that, let's go. Alright, so for today's tutorial, we're mainly going to be using unsplash.com and Google to find our images. Unsplash is freaking dope because they have a bunch of trendy modern images that are absolutely free to use for whatever you want. And we're going to start our search right now by looking for a picture of somebody that we want to cut out, whether it be from Unsplash, Google, or even a picture of yourself. Alright, so my keywords will be profile man, and we're looking for something that probably doesn't have anything obstructing the person already, or some colors surrounding our subject. Something clear, clean is probably what we're looking for, something like this guy. This guy seems good, he seems trustworthy. We're just gonna download him and drag him into Photoshop. Dope. So there's a few different ways that we can remove this dude from his picture. The first being the magic wand tool, which does its best to grab the similar colors around it, but sometimes, like as we see here, it'll grab the person that we're actually trying to cut out. There's also the quick selection tool, which is a manual selection tool. Basically you click and drag, and it also does its best to select the object you're trying to grab. And lastly, and probably the one that you're going to be using the most, the object selection tool. And it's super powerful, and it can grab your person like in a matter of seconds. Now, it doesn't always do a super great job. As you can see here in the edges, it did miss part of his jacket down here, and down here it missed his pants, because these work better with more contrast between your object and its background. So if you have like a black object on a white background, the selection is going to be super easy. But if you have something like this where it's blue on blue or black on black, it's going to be pretty difficult for the software to read it. But using our quick selection tool, we can fix that pretty easily. Alright, now that we have our object selected, we can go up here to select and mask to remove him from the background. So as you can see here, it's now transparent. And we can use these tools off to the side to fix some of these edges here. We can use the smooth tool to smoothen the edges, the feather tool to soften the edges, the contrast tool to sharpen the edges, and the shift edge tool to bring our entire selection either in or out. We can play with these edges until we get something that we're really happy with. Alright, and once we're happy with our settings, we can click OK down here. And down here at the bottom, there should be a rectangle with a circle, and click that, and that will add a mask to our photo. I think I've mentioned masks before, but masks are a way to erase stuff from an image without actually erasing it. So if we look down here, we can see a black and white copy of what we're looking at, and we can click disable there, and our image will go back to normal, and enable it, and the background disappears again. And if you notice, it's black and white, which means that we can use our brush over here by pressing B, and depending on what color we have selected, we can either add things or subtract things from our photo. So right here, we colored in white and it added a background. And then if we color it in black, it'll delete from our image even more. If you're not happy with the way your cutout came out, you can always double click the black and white icon and go back in and continue editing until you're happy with it. As of now, this looks really good to me. And if you wanted to, if this is a profile of you, then you could save it as a PNG if you wanted to, so you can have a picture of yourself with a transparent background. But you could take this even further and have a lot more fun with it. So let's say you want to take a trip to the Grand Canyon, but you can't because it's the pandemic and Arizona's freaking disgusting right now. So let's just pretend we went. We can grab this photo of the Grand Canyon, copy it, and drop it into Photoshop. And boom, now you have a picture of yourself at the Grand Canyon without having to deal with the nasty heat or putting yourself or others at risk. And you saw the freaking Grand Canyon. You can add some really cool filters on Photoshop. So you can go to the color lookup here, and there's a bunch of different filters you can try out. But usually I go for the Fuji, so I'm gonna stick with this one, I think. And I'm not gonna lie, this actually looks super legit. So honestly, you could plan a whole pandemic vacation without actually going anywhere. But let's say you don't want to lie to people about where you've been and you actually just want a really cool profile photo. You can hide your background, open a new layer, and you can fill it with a gradient. So right now I have it at a blue gradient. Let's just see how that looks. That looks pretty cool, but if you do want to change the color of your gradient, you just go up here and there's a bunch of presets you can pick, or you can also use the eyedropper tool to pick directly from your picture and make a gradient that makes sense with your picture and your colors. This is looking a whole lot better in my opinion. We can take this even further. We can make it into like an artsy collage. I've seen a bunch of trends of people putting like flowers over people's heads or animals over people's heads and stuff. So let's do that. I'm gonna head on over to Google and type in sunflower. And once we're here, we can go to the tools bar, go to size and large. This will make sure that the picture you're using isn't like super tiny and really pixelated and difficult to crop. There's also tools for color if you want to pick strictly a black and white image or an already transparent image. There's also usage rights, like Unsplash is free to use for anything. You can also do that on Google. I'm gonna pick this sunflower image with a white background just to show you guys how useful the magic wand tool is. So once we drop our sunflower image into Photoshop, we can press W and pull up our magic wand tool and just click on the white, and it selects literally the entire background. If you notice that you have like rough edges or anything like that, you can go back to select and mask like we did earlier, or if not, you just click the mask button down here, and this literally happens to me every freaking time. Super easy fix. You just press Command I and it inverses your selection. So since we selected the white background, it thought we were keeping the white but really wanted the sunflower. But we're chilling now, so back to the show. Now you can use the sunflower to get like super artsy with it, or you know, as like a background for your person. So let's just mess around with it for now. I really like how this sunflower is looking on the guy's face, and I think I want to add some more. So I'm going to duplicate the sunflower by pressing Command J. Again, since Photoshop is a layer-based program, we can drag our sunflower right behind the guy and move it around our artboard to give it some depth. That looks pretty sick, but we can take this even further and use our brush to add some cool textures in the back. And then edit the layer mode to color burn so that it really grabs that gradient. Let's drop the opacity, move it up a bit, and I think that looks really good. And there it is, our really, really cool artsy collage. And hold up. Okay, so I just realized that we forgot to take out the background from this guy's elbow. So let's just do that right now really quickly. To do this, I wouldn't recommend using the wand tool or any of the selection tools we used earlier, just because there's a lot of black here and it'll just grab the same color. So instead, we're going to be using the polygonal lasso tool, which can be found up here or by pressing L on your keyboard. The polygonal lasso tool works by clicking across your selection, so you can click anywhere you want to make a path of whatever shape you want. Your selection doesn't have to be super exact, but I do recommend zooming in so that you can get into each of the corners. Once we've made our selection, make sure you click on the black and white thumbnail and just press delete. And now we have our finished collage and our super legit Grand Canyon photos. And that is it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, or tips, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And in the next video, I'll be doing another poster walkthrough where I walk through my design process from start to finish. So if there's an artist you guys want to see me make a poster for, leave it down in the comments and maybe you'll get picked. And that's it for me. Stay cool.